My first assignment in December 1980, as the newly named press secretary for Nancy Reagan, was to entrust one of the Reagan advance men with the highly confidential assignment of driving to New York City to pick up the final glossy sketches of Nancy's inaugural wardrobe. Now, 38 years later, I am free to unmask my accomplice. Mark Hatfield, son of Senator Mark Hatfield of Oregon, took on the assignment. Mark Jr., my hero, did not disappoint. When he returned to our nation's capital, he met me in the parking lot of Transition Headquarters, where we transferred the contraband from his trunk to mine. Sounds a bit like Deep Throat, doesn't it? It really was important to keep those designs secret until Nancy wore those outfits. There had been instances in past presidencies where this kind of information was leaked in advance. It puts a real damper on the excitement of the day. I believe the worst example was when Linda Bird Johnson was marrying Chuck Robb. Drawings of her wedding dress designed by Jeffrey Bean were leaked to Women's Wear Daily before Linda's special historic White House wedding took place. Nancy's outfit on Inauguration Day, a red crepe day dress with a red twill coat and hat, was created by American designer Adolfo. Its brilliant red hue quickly became known as Reagan Red. She favored that color for the rest of her life. It became an essential part of her style. I thought it was the perfect color for her. Not that she consulted me on that subject. After all, less than 10 days earlier, I had been working at a large public relations firm's Washington office, directing national publicity efforts in favor of continued regulation of the trucking industry. I'd never even heard of Adolfo before. Shortly before the January 20th, 1981 swearing in, and at some time during the luncheon in the Capitol, our new president, Ronald Reagan, was able to announce that our American heroes, held hostage for 444 days in Iran, had been released and had just cleared Iranian airspace on their way home. As an added grace note, he dispatched former President Jimmy Carter, who worked tirelessly to bring them home, to meet the hostages as they reached safety. All of America celebrated. The national Christmas tree on the ellipse between the White House and the Washington Monument was lit that night in celebration for the first time since they had been taken hostage. That evening, the Reagans danced at 8 inaugural balls, Nancy in a glittering white gown and gorgeous satin coat designed by James Galanos, another top American designer. The president, by the way, wore a tuxedo. I do not know who designed it. It was black. Those balls were packed with ecstatic Republicans from across the country. I was present at the ball held at the Capitol Hilton, where the coat check line snaked around the block. In truth, it was no more glamorous than a high school prom, except we did have alcohol, in paper cups. Funny the things one remembers. I also remember that it was so overcrowded that every foray onto the dance floor ended up with some man stepping on my feet. The ballroom came alive when the new president and first lady arrived. Everyone knew they were witnessing the beginning of an exciting new presidential term. I was thrilled to be even a small part of it. It was one of the few presidential events that I would not have to work. The West Wing presidential advance people took charge. I got to be a witness to history. Nancy's inaugural gown, in keeping with long-standing tradition, was eventually donated to the Smithsonian. I grew up in the D.C. suburbs, and for as long as I can remember, the wing of the American History Museum that houses its gown collection has always been the most popular exhibit at the Smithsonian. Folks at the Smithsonian confirmed that fact when I was working on the details of Nancy's donation. The oldest inaugural gown in the museum's collection dates from 1829 and belonged to Andrew Johnson's niece. The oldest First Lady's gown in the Smithsonian collection, not part of an inauguration, belonged to none other than Martha Washington.